Dr. Harris, could you tell us a little bit about the history of the Trust Advocate Service?
Yes, back in 1980, from 1980 to 1990, I was the Director of Professional Affairs for the Massachusetts Psychological Association. And that's where I learned the importance of having both legal and clinical knowledge combined, that there was something that was very valuable to psychologists about that. And then when Dr. Bennett took over the trust, we talked about whether there was some way in which we could make that a part of a national program. And so Dr. Bennett talked to the board and asked that I write a proposal and put out a request for proposals. We proposed that there be two parts to the program. One would be a set of workshops, and the other would be the individual consultations with individuals who are insured by the trust. And that I, quite frankly, thought that it would considerably reduce and therefore pay for itself. I don't think the insurance company saw it that way. I think the insurance company really saw it as a good marketing vehicle for the program. But I didn't really care why they saw it the way they saw it. We put it into effect in 1994. At that time, I was only working, I think, 20 hours a week and doing calls. And I think the first year, the records were kept entirely on paper and pencil in the old form. And we had one workshop that was a combination of one that Bruce had done in Illinois and I had done in Massachusetts, which concerned the basics of risk management. We both had a very similar notion of what risk management was and the need to be able to, in essence, focus more on the clinical aspects than the legal aspects, but to do the clinical aspects in a pretty legally sophisticated way. So we hired a couple of students to do the very primitive database of all the laws. There were 4 questions then. They were privilege, tears off, access to records, and age of consent. And I think those were the 4. And so we hired a law student to do that, and it was pretty primitive. And we started the phone calls, and it's really just mushroomed from there. We now have 5 actual workshops that we have done. We need to do a 6th pretty soon. We haven't really figured out what that's going to be. And we've done somewhere in the neighborhood of, next week we'll get to 49,000 consultations. And I believe the number of workshops we've done is 647. I almost sometimes feel when I'm on the road doing the workshops that I could do, at least in Missouri, for example, where they have us come twice every year. I don't even have to really talk. I could do like that old joke with the prisoners. I just say number 3, and they'd all know exactly what I was talking about. We could be much more efficient about it.